Hello, my little Luxxes. This is another episode of Coffee and Cosplay, and I am your host, cosplayer Charsie Luxxx, and I am the afterlife of the party. And for today's episode, we are going on theme for when sharks attack. Hello, and welcome back again to another Coffee and Cosplay. And if you are brand new to my channel, please welcome. Please come join the Luxxy family. All freaks and geeks and weirdos, we are all welcome on this channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And if you would be able to, I gotta keep asking this only because apparently it's a thing that happens all the time, but if you can make sure that you are still subscribed, that would be greatly appreciated. But once again, we are in the month of July, and for the month of July, we are having fun by talking about when sharks attack. Now, obviously, for Coffee and Cosplay, if you are brand new here, what I do for my Coffee and Cosplay episodes, I choose a real-life story of mine, a personal story that I can share that is kind of on theme with what is going on for the month. Well, obviously, I do not have a story where a shark has attacked me. It is very rare for a shark to actually attack a person, and usually they do it out of confusion, thinking that it's a seal or it's food. And even though it's very rare, it is very horrific and awful every single time that it does happen. But I am very lucky in the aspect that obviously I have not been attacked by a shark, but I do have a shark story that I can share. And as always, I will apologize for my very loud air conditioner. You're gonna hear it turn on and off several different times. But I'm not turning it off. I turned off my fans for all this, yet my computer fan is probably still too loud anyway. But we will grin and bear it together. And as I said for my ghost stories, it's just ambiance, noise in the background. But for my story, I have shared this before in the past, but it's one of my favorite stories that I love to tell. And I have a very weird phobia that I didn't realize that I had until obviously the first time I was ever out on the ocean. But I actually have a fear of the ocean. And it's not necessarily the ocean itself, but it's the creatures and the fish and the animals and just the unknown that has to do with the ocean. Having this weird fear that I didn't realize that I really had until, gosh, what year would this have been? I want to say this was around 2004. And I was back in high school. For 2004, my aunt decided that for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, she had a two-parter. I'm not even joking. This aunt, she's well-to-do, we'll just put it that way. But she had a two-part 50-year wedding anniversary for my
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
For my grandparents. So the first part was that she took all of the immediate family on my dad's side of the family out to Germany because our family background is German. And her second part of the 50th wedding anniversary was that she took the same immediate family from my dad's side of the family, or the paternal family, however you want to put it. We got a trip to St. Augustine, Florida. Now, my first trip ever to St. Augustine, actually it's the only trip I've had to St. Augustine, but I would love to visit that place again because it is stunning and beautiful. And since I'm a huge history buff, all the history that surrounds St. Augustine and the old fort and everything, it was an amazing trip. So I am thankful that my aunt gave us that opportunity and that she took us all out there, because it just was such an amazing, wonderful experience. And the same thing that when she took us all out to Germany, like, that was a once in a lifetime experience, and that I will cherish and remember for the rest of my life. And I can't exactly remember why it was a two-parter. I really don't know. I guess when you got money, you can just do whatever the hell you want anyway. But like I said, I'm very, very thankful that I got the experience. It's just I'm not close with my dad's side of the family at all. Certain reasons. Let's just put it in the easiest terms that there were certain children and grandchildren that were the golden children, and that every other child in the family was left behind. And since I am the black sheep of the family, you can just imagine exactly where I sit in that scenario. So but anyway, I digress. Everybody raise your hand if you're the black sheep in your family. Ew! So, anyway, my aunt got us this fabulous trip that she rented a house. I mean, this was before I realized, before knowing about like Airbnbs and that kind of stuff, that you could actually rent houses and that kind of stuff. But she rented a beach house out in St. Augustine, and gorgeous. A beautiful house, huge house, and I want to say it was 3 stories. We literally could go out the back door and take the docks straight to the beach.
Come on through. I'm Joe Public. Welcome to my beach.
So our backyard was the beach. So I mean, this was an incredible opportunity. So being down there on that trip was when it's like I started realizing I had this weird phobia every time I was around the ocean. And my cousins and my brother, including even my dad, would go out into the surf. And I found myself weirdly, like, barely even wanting to go out and swim. Like, my little tiny cousins would help to encourage and drag me out there. But the entire time I'm just like, nope, I'm not feeling it. And I would go back up onto the beach. And I was that weird, awkward teenager building sandcastles out on the beach instead of swimming in the ocean.
It's okay, Leela, go ahead. I got a lot of work to do here.
But I still had an amazing time. But that's when I slowly started realizing that, you know what, I'm kind of freaked out by the ocean. And it's just the thought process of something being able to eat you, which obviously is very, very rare. The possibility is there. We go into further in the trip, and my aunt had put in a trip that was going to be deep sea fishing. I almost said deep sea diving. No, there's no way I would have. No.
You don't go in the water at all, do you?
But she was doing deep sea fishing. And it was my dad, my grandpa, my brother, and I believe my 2 youngest cousins, and then me. And we all decided that we were going to do this deep sea fishing. And I don't think anybody else came out with us. Like, either the rest of the group stayed back at the restaurant, because it was really cool. How they had it set up was that you could charter on this party boat and that catch as much fish as you wanted, and then you would charter back to the restaurant, which was the port where the ship and everything was. And that restaurant, for just a really small fee with you going out to the boat and that, as long as you were eating it there, they would clean and cook all the fish. And obviously you could keep the leftovers and that kind of stuff, but as long as they got to clean and cook it, and then whatever fish was extra in that they could keep, type of deal. It was kind of one of those. So it was really cool. We head out deep into the ocean, and they start the deep sea fishing. And of course, I'm slowly really realizing how uncomfortable I am, and I had no interest of being out there. Like, I would slowly move to the railing and look out at the expanse of the ocean and everything in front of me, and I would pull back. And I'd stay farther to the edge, where obviously in the boat there were some benches and that that were on the outer part of the boat. I should say the dock area, deck area. I don't know the full lingual of boats, but there were seating areas that you could sit on these benches. So I was there while my dad and my grandpa and my brother and my cousins were fishing and everything and watching them. Well, my dad and my grandpa kept trying to encourage me to fish with them. And of course I'm like, yeah, I'm good, I'm just good sitting here. And of course in their heads they're probably thinking, well, we paid for you to fish, you should be out here fishing. Which it makes sense knowing that now, because you have to, actually I'm trying to remember what is the certain age that you have to have a fishing license. Because I know for kids you don't have to have a fishing license, but regardless, had to pay for the trip and that, and I was sitting there not fishing. I can see my grandpa and my dad being like, get off your ass, come fish. I'm uncomfortable and fearful, so I'm just happily sitting on the bench watching everybody else fish. So my dad and my grandpa realized that one of the workers on this boat is a younger teenage guy, about my age, just probably doing this for her summer job. And my dad and grandpa are like, well, maybe we can get this guy to encourage her to come and fish. And I mean, it was really smart on their part, because sure enough, when they talked to the young man and then he came over to me and was like, hey, what's your name? We start talking and he's like, hey, I want to show you how to fish. Of course, me being a young teenage girl, like, oh, pretty boy, okay, I will come fish. I'm brave, I'm super brave, look at me. To be young and silly again. No, I don't miss it. Those were not the best years of my life.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
But anyway, so this young man is able to get me to come out and to start fishing. And he's showing me how to do the cast line, and it's deep sea fishing. And what's interesting and really cool about the ocean, which at the time, really creepy at the same time, you can look down in the ocean and you can see quite a bit. And any fish that was swimming by, that you could see them, and we'd see large fish. And the young guy was telling me, oh, that's a what and what, and a so-and-so, and it's like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Just fishing. I think I caught one fish while he was helping me with that. Or I remember after getting the fish and that, and then casting out one more time, and I remember looking down, and there were some fairly large looking fish below us. And I'm looking at these giant fish, and it's like, oh, what are those fish down there? Because it's like you can see them clearly, especially since they were quite a bit larger than some of the other things, but wasn't recognizing or recollecting what I was looking at. And the young man all of a sudden goes, oh my gosh, this is really awesome. Those are hammerhead sharks. I have never moved away from a railing so fast in my entire life. I booked it away from there. Like, I don't even remember, like, all I know is that as soon as I heard the word hammerhead sharks, and that's what I was looking at in the water, I flew the scene. And I went and I hid inside the boat in the bathroom, and I was done.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Not only telling my perspective of the story, but I love telling my dad's side of the story as well, because he just tells the story because he's like, obviously they're standing right next to me, and my dad is seeing that I'm asking the young man what the large fish below us were, and of course my dad's taking notice as well because there's quite a few of them. And my dad says, as soon as that guy says hammerhead shark, he's like, you were just gone.
Bye, bitch!
He's like, 1 second you were there, We heard a hammerhead shark. Next thing we knew, you were just gone, and this young man had to catch your fishing pole. I was just gone. I wasn't sticking around. No thank you. No big fishy. And my dad said it was just the funniest thing, because this young man just had this look on his face like, where'd she go?
Nope. Mm-mm. Nope.
So, needless to say, I did not continue fishing at all for the rest of the trip. And I'm pretty sure my brother and my dad at some point both kind of tried to encourage me to come out. I think I finally came out of the bathroom and just was at the edge of the boat, but I was inside, like, watching everyone from the doorway. But I'm like, I've seen Jaws. I'm not going out there. There's no way. No.
No, don't like that.
So I maybe caught one fish on the entire deep sea fishing experience. But as much as that situation had happened, and that I had to have been 16 at the time, but years later, and revisiting Florida again, and being in the Gulf area and seeing the ocean again, my fears were still there, but not as prevalent as what they once were. And now when I look at the ocean, it's more like it's awe-inspiring, and the fact just how beautiful and amazing that it is just to be in the presence of the ocean and just seeing its beauty. And obviously I didn't venture out to go swimming like what my husband and our friends did. They went out and carried into the ocean and went swimming with the fishies. But I had fun just staying more towards the shoreline and everything. So my fear is not as bad as what it was, but obviously my thought process isn't to just go out into the ocean and just start swimming. So maybe someday I'll go swimming with some dolphins. I don't know. It'd be cool though. But yeah, share in the comments down below. Please share your shark adventures. If you've ever had an experience similar to mine, to where you were out fishing out in the ocean and you happened to see a shark or something like that. Because I've also heard scarier situations where not fatal or anything like that and no one got injured, but spending time with one of our friends we used to play D&D with, because our one friend, she was a dance instructor, and she talked about the one time that her dance student had come back from vacation and she had this story about a shark, and that she had been out swimming and that all of a sudden they started calling people in because a shark had been spotted out in the ocean. So because them swimming back in and that, and then she took note and looked back in the ocean to where she had been swimming, and that's when everybody started hollering and calling and pointing to the ocean, and right at the spot that she had been swimming was a shark jumping out of the water. And obviously that would be traumatic and fascinating at the same time to see. And she flat out even said, she goes, it was the weirdest thing, because she's like, when I was swimming out there, she's like, I kept feeling like something was there. And she's like, I felt like something bumped into me too. And once she made it to the shore, and then that happened, and then that's what one of the lifeguards had even told her, was that they had noticed that the shark was near her, and that when she had mentioned, she's like, I kept feeling like something had bumped me. He's like, yeah, that's what sharks do if they're trying to figure out what food is. The first initial couple times, usually they bump into their food to try and smell it, try and just see what happens. So that would scare me enough to never go back in the ocean again. Obviously I hear these stories and I still went in the ocean this last time, but you know, you never know. you really never know. We always say that we find ways to conquer our fears and that, but there are certain scenarios where it's like, you know, there are certain things you can't conquer, because I mean, if a shark's gonna attack you, the likelihood of you being able to conquer it, we never know.
I'm going to show you guys why it is a bad idea to ever run away or splash in front of a shark. While I'm splashing, you can see this tiger shark continues to follow me. This indicates that I am prey. The better thing to do in this situation is going to be to face the shark head on, stop and make eye contact with it, and if you need to use your hand, place it firmly on top of the shark's head and continue following through. Look around to make sure no other sharks are approaching and exit the water as soon as you can.
But yeah, if you have any fascinating shark-related stories or even just ocean-related stories in general, please share them with me. I would love to hear them. But thank you once again for joining me here on another Coffee and Cosplay episode. And I would love to keep continuing to share more and more personal stories that I've had in my lifetime here on this channel. And I might actually even do another kind of thing that would be similar to this, not necessarily having to get in cosplay and whatnot, that I might do kind of small episodes that are just like Charsie chats or something like that, just for the fact that, you know, so much stuff happens in our lives where it's like, sometimes you want to talk about it and you want to vent about things that happen in your life, or just everyday life where it's like, I'm not always going to be in cosplay every single time that I'm on camera. So, but anyway, thank you so much for joining me here on another episode of Coffee and Cosplay. And if you would like to follow me on my other social medias, please follow me on my Twitter for Charsie Luxxx with 3 X's, or on my Instagram or my Threads for Charsie87. Once again, I don't know why, but Instagram, which is tied to Threads, I can't change it to Charsie Luxxx. It claims that there's another user using that name, but if I look it up, it doesn't exist. I don't know. I think it's just because of the fact that I have 3 X's in my name, so, you know, that's obviously related to porn, so why would we ever allow you to have a triple X? I don't know, it's dumb. It's very dumb. But anyway, please come follow me on my other social medias. And as always, I am the afterlife of the party. And if you would like to come join me, come join the Luxxy family and come join the afterlife of the party with me. And no matter what time of the day it is, I hope you have a Luxxy Charms kind of day. Bye! This is another episode of Not Luxxy Charms, as I'm confusing myself. Come join the Charsie... and that's what I was looking at me. Except instead of me not necessarily